Alright, so continuing in our series with recip blades, there are a lot of recip blades on the market, and there are obviously several manufacturers of those recip blades. So in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at blades from the Hungry Wolf. Always hungry, I think that's what their motto is, right? Or the Lenox brand. So we also got here from the Lenox brand, the Lumberwolf, and then we also have the Demolition Carbide CT. So we're going to go over these blades top to bottom, see how they stand up against other blades we've tested so far. Stick with us. This right here is a Lenox Bimetal reciprocating saw blade. It has power blast technology that increases blade life. High-speed power blasting along the cutting edges strengthens the blade to reduce breaks and increases durability. The long life blade and increased versatility features patented T2 technology that reduces cutting forces on each tooth and optimizes chip removal to allow for efficient cutting in the widest range of materials. It is optimized tooth forms for wood cutting and patented design for ultimate durability and speed when cutting clean or nail embedded wood. This blade comes in different configurations, meaning it has 4 TPI configurations that are about 6 inches long, which is obviously designed for, probably just clean wood. There are also 6 TPI configurations that features the blade with 4, 6, 9, and 12 inches. These blades feature up to 50 times the life. High performance carbide tips are welded to the edges or the cutting edges for durability and to help prevent tooth loss. These blades stand up to the toughest demolition applications. The tall, thick blade profiles are designed to add durability and minimize blade breaks. These blades are engineered for fast performance. Each tooth is precision ground to cut wood and nails with ease. This blade also comes in all kinds of configurations. There are 6 inches, 9 inches, and 12-inch configurations. All of them will have 6 TPI. Alright, so let's take a look at this Lenox Lumberwolf wood and nails blade. So this right here is the blade made for wood and nails. It has 6 TPI and the model number is 956R. This is made in the USA, and they kind of say, the Lenox Lumberwolf, right? Always be hungry. That's kind of their motto, or always hungry, or something like that, right? So it's got the wolf drawn on it with wood and nails, and this is a standard 6 TPI blade. There's no variableness in it in terms of varying teeth. It's all standard spaced out, and it's 6 TPI, okay? This one is not as high as the demo one up here, but we can look at that in a bit. But other than that, there's not too much going on here. If you want to look at pretty much what the blade offset or teeth offset is, you can see right here, it's slightly aggressive, which will kind of get you, like if you see this wave right here, you see that's a little bit slightly aggressive. It kind of lets you to cut a little bit faster and helps clear some of that debris a lot faster. But other than that, it's a pretty standard blade, no bells and whistles, okay? So moving on to this Demolition CT. So this right here is for nail embedded wood. This is also 6 TPI, and this is model number 956CT, right? CT for a kind of carbide tip. So this is obviously, the Lenox nail embedded wood blade, Demolition CT, and this blade is made in the USA with global materials, and it even says carbide tip. I'm not sure if that's exactly what CT stands for, but we're going with that, okay? As you can see here, this blade is a little bit taller than this. One thing I learned about using this blade is it does help track a little bit better. Especially when I'm, making cuts and stuff like that, and you're trying to follow a line, the bigger blade definitely helps you do that a little bit better. That's one thing we definitely noticed, all right? So, other than that, like we said earlier, this is 6 TPI. As you can see here, all the teeth are equally spaced apart. And if you look really, really closely and carefully, you can see like a little tip right there, a little shiny piece. Those things are little bits of carbide that are, I guess in a way, welded onto the tip of each tooth. So the amount of carbide on each tip here is not a lot by any means compared to other blades that we looked at earlier, like let's say some of the Milwaukee blades. So there's just a little bit of carbide on each of these teeth, okay? Other than that, not too much going up on here. If you look at the blade offset here, you can kind of see a little bit of a wave kind of going this way, right? Teeth offset. They're kind of alternating, so kind of helps clear some of that stuff faster. But as you can see here, some of the gussets here right? The part that goes up between the teeth is nowhere nearly as high as it is on this bimetal blade, right? So you're probably not going to get fast cuts with this blade. And if you've looked at some of this blade before, this blade style may look a little bit familiar to you, mainly because in one of our videos we looked at this DeWALT Elite series carbide tipped blade, and as you can see here, this blade also has, if you looked at that video, very small bits of carbide that are welded to each of these teeth, right? And even if you look at the gussets or the space between the teeth, you can see here that the space between the teeth where it goes up and helps clear some of that debris out is not high, okay? Even the shape of the blade, if you look at it like this, is very similar. So even just following this entire design that goes up like this, right? Takes a little bit up here to kind of gives you that thicker profile. And then it starts, having that slope down and having that tooth, right? Kind of the same shape here, right? So if you look at the teeth on this DeWALT blade, even though it is used, kind of has that same alternating pattern, which is pretty common for these type of blades, but you'll see it's very similar. So if I were to lay this blade on top of this Lenox blade and I try to match up the design of these teeth, actually let's look at it like this so you can see the design of these teeth really close next to each other. And then we can also look at it as in terms of right on top of each other. And you can see here, the teeth design is almost identical. And I would actually go as far as to say it is identical. There's not really too much variableness. Look right here, unless I pop it up, you can't really tell. Right, there's two blades right behind each other, so that's something to look at. So I'm not exactly sure if DeWALT is paying Lenox to kind of make these blades for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they were made in the same factory, but there's definitely some type of sharedness going on here, unless somebody just quickly copied one of the blades. All right, so without too much further ado, let's go see how fast they cut. So let's go take a look at some of the wear on the blades. As you see on this Lumberwolf blade here, you know, the paint or the coating has kind of worn off pretty quick. You can see a lot of these teeth here are still here, even though, as you can see right here, these teeth right here that contact the metal drywall screws have, you know, rounded off, so there's no sharpness there. Sure, you could probably get some cutting done in some soft lumber with this, but I would not expect it to cut fast, and you should probably definitely not expect it to cut anything sharp, right, or anything like nails, right? You could probably get around extending, you know, a 9-inch blade, cut more areas, but other than that, you know, the teeth have been rounded off. If you want to look at it this way, another angle look at it, you can see right here, this tooth is completely rounded off, sharp, 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 rounded off, kind of almost like a shark fin pattern, right? So if you want to go look at some of the damage right on top of each other, as we look at it right here, we'll see rounded off edges right here. This right here is exactly where it probably gets most of the force, especially since it's contacting the screws and fasteners right there. Rounded off. Look at it right there. Rounded off. Okay, so pretty good damage there. Done with those blades. Now let's go take a look at the Lenox Carbide tip blade. As you can see here, you know, the paint obviously has worn off, or the coating, let's just say, has worn off. As you can also see on here, the carbide teeth, almost every single, I believe every single carbide tooth does remain here. But now you can actually see the tips, or the actual carbide tips here a lot better. See that little dot right there? That is the carbide tip that's welded onto each tooth, right? So, you know, not too much damage to the blade, obviously. If you look at it closer, you know, you'll definitely see that the sharp point is no longer as sharp. But if you want to look at it actually retaining all the carbide teeth have been retained. And that is something we've also seen with the DeWALT blade, right? So, doing a quick overlay on here, you can see, you know, all the teeth are a lot more visible without the coating on it, but that little piece is where the carbide is. And as you can see, most of the tips, even the parts that, you know, contact the fasteners right here, have remained or retained their carbide and kept that sharp edge. Okay, so it may not cut as well as it did, you know, fresh or brand new, but it should still cut pretty well, as fast as the blade technically should cut. All right, so before we move on to that, let's go back and take a look at this DeWALT blade, a worn DeWALT blade, compared to the worn Lenox blade, right? So if I line these up right here exactly over each other, you can tell the teeth have pretty much exact same wear pattern on them. You can also tell right here that some of the tips have rounded off just a little bit, where you don't get that sharp edge on that triangle part right there, but you will definitely tell all the carbide has retained in or both blades. All right, so hopefully that helps. Like I said, not sure if these are made in the same factory or not, but let's go take a look at the numbers. All right, hope y'all caught those numbers, because some of those numbers were not very fast. Nobody would say those numbers went by fast by any means. So let's go take a recap. First, we ran the Lumberwolf, the bimetal blade, and in the 3 runs of the 16D framing nail test, it ran all 3 just fine, no problem, cut all 36. Average of the 3 runs was around 25.80 seconds, okay? Then moved on to the drywall screws pretty hard, and after about 4 fasteners cut in the drywall screws, it failed, okay? So it just did not finish. So, you know, there's that. Then we moved on to the Demolition CT carbide blades and see how much of a different story that told. Let's see. So on the 16D framing nail test, I completed all 3 just fine, cut all 36 nails. The average of 3 runs was 72.36 seconds. Wow, you guys are probably thinking that's not fast, okay? Especially compared to the bimetal one. So, you know, does the longevity make any difference? Let's go take a look. On the drywall screw test, it ran all 3 not just fine, but it did complete all 3 runs, cut all 36 screws. The average of 3 runs was around 129.54 seconds, okay? So let's go take a look at the numbers real quick. 84.55 for the first run. Second run slowed down considerably to 177.38 seconds. And then on the third run was 220.23 seconds, okay? So that's a lot, but it did cut all 36, right? So, you know, we probably should have cut out somewhere in the middle after, you know, in run 3, so, you know, 200 seconds is a lot, so we probably should have did that, but we did not, but it did complete those runs, okay? So, we'll go take a look at the other numbers afterwards, but let's go see where it really stacks up against, you know, all the other ones on the leaderboard today. So the Bimetal one cut 36 plus the 4, so it cut 40. And then with the total score of 40, it puts it right behind the Milwaukee Axe Bimetal blade, which had 41 fasteners cut. But on this one, the Lenox Lumberwolf had 40 fasteners cut, okay? Which is still in front of the Milwaukee Wrecker Bimetal blade, all right? So on the Carbide Demolition CT, that had 72 fasteners cut because it cut all 36 nails and all 36 drywall screws. So 72 puts it right behind the Milwaukee Wrecker blade Carbide, which cut, you know, 156 plus fasteners. So Lenox is currently in 3rd place on the leaderboard in front of the Milwaukee Axe, which had, let's just say, 70 fasteners cut, if you want to take it for that, right? So, you know, where does the story really come in and tell a difference? Let's go see, right? So with the Lenox Demolition CT Carbide, it had an average time to complete the 3 runs of the framing nails was 72.36 seconds. That out of, you know, let's say all top 5, that's pretty slow, right? The Diablo had 27, the Wrecker had 29, right, seconds on average. And then on a drywall screw test, the Diablo had 31, the Milwaukee Wrecker had 34, and then Demolition CT Carbide had 129, right? That's like magnitude slower, right? So there's that. The other thing we also did was after it completed all 3 tests, we looked at the blade and said, you know, this blade doesn't really look that damaged. It looks like it will probably continue to cut more. So that's exactly what we did. We took the blade and then we put additional runs into it. So this time we made a little bit of a difference, kind of like what we did with the DeWALT Elite Series Carbide, where we just put a lot of downforce, so user pressure into it. See how much of a difference that made, okay? So we ran 2 additional tests with a bunch of user downforce, rocking it back and forth, all kinds of stuff to try to make it cut faster. And then with those 2 tests, it ended up with 51.68 and 60.02 seconds. Okay, so those 2 tests. So to give that a bit of a comparison, on the DeWALT Elite Series Carbide, we did the same thing. And on the DeWALT Elite Series Carbide, on the first run with the user pressure test, it was about 41.58 seconds. Now the second one was 47.52 seconds. So both of them considerably did faster just by putting more force and rocking it back and forth and all that kind of stuff. So there is that. If you do want to go ahead and look at the leaderboard and say, well, the DeWALT's cutting a little bit faster and some of those things, even though the blades look very similar, that should be higher, then feel free to go do that. You know, we're just here to tell you our experience and our numbers. So this is not by any means, you know, complete, let's just say, right? But it's the data that we have, okay? So what can we say about these blades? So Lenox's blades, you know, they put out pretty good blades, it seems like. The Demolition CT Carbide looks like, you know, with a lot of user force and stuff involved, it'll probably continue to cut more. That blade is roughly around $10. And if you can ask the question, would I go out and buy that blade again? Probably not, right? Because it is a $10 blade, carbide tip blade, and for $10, you could also get the Diablo Demo Demon Carbide for roughly about $10, right? And that one cut 156 plus fasteners, and not only that, it did cut them faster, okay? So, you know, there's that. I'm sure if we did a bunch of user-involved tests, we're rocking it back and forth, putting more pressure, it'll probably do faster, probably, right? So there is that. But this DeWALT Elite Series Carbide and the Lenox Demolition CT Carbides have the same type of blade profile. The numbers kind of seem to match up too. Like if you look at the performance over the drywall screws across both of them, they all considerably slowed down, even though they have the carbide tips there and putting more user pressure on it, you know, did seem to make a difference. So there's that. So the answer is I would not go out and buy that blade again if I had to. And obviously Lenox did not sponsor this video. Nobody's paying us for any of this. So, you know, there's that. We're here just to give you the number. So hope this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions like that, let us know. Otherwise, have a great day. Get back to work and we'll see you guys next time.